And now, for a look at updated commodities in Star Citizen. 3.19 is with us now, and the patch brings several updates to trade. Over the course of this video, I'll discuss what has changed, what hasn't, how trade routes are affected, and most importantly, your profits. 3.19's major economic focus is updating mining and the profits associated. At the moment, the refined metals and minerals are effectively identical to metal and mineral commodities for trade. As their prices have been updated, so have trade prices. First, let's cover what has not been updated in 3.19. Any trade commodity that is not a metal or a mineral retains its same prices from previous patches. For example, medical supplies, gases, food, and drugs are still the same. In summary, if it's not a metal or mineral, no change has been made. However, be advised that older commodities may see a shift in popularity due to changes elsewhere. Supply and demand are also unchanged except for gold, which we'll discuss in depth later. Metals and minerals have seen massive adjustment in both buy and sell pricing. We are now also seeing the first iteration of varied trade runs, where you can earn more or less profit depending on where a commodity is sold. For example, Orison pays 2,815 credits per SCU of Beryl, whereas New Babbage only pays 2,549, giving us a difference of 266 credits per SCU. As a refresher, let's go over how the economy works for newcomers and returning players. Supply and demand is shared across all servers in all regions. So for example, let's say a location restocks 100 SCU of a commodity every refresh tick, which is about 10 minutes. If a player on server A buys 20 SCU of that commodity, and a person on server B buys 30 SCU at the same location on their server, then it will only add 50 SCU to that commodity stock when the refresh tick happens. This is why stocks go up and down without players visibly purchasing cargo. As far as where commodities are sold to, most commodities should be sold at a planetary TDD. Before we go into detail on things, it's also worth mentioning that at the time of this video releasing, Orison has a bad habit of destroying ships when being stored. Be wary about trading to Orison until a fix is applied. Now, let's dive in and examine each updated commodity, its profitability, availability, and best-case scenario for trading. Let's start with Agricium. Agricium now has a base price around 2,071 credits per SCU. Its best sale price is 2,832 at Orison. With an unchanged refresh rate or maximum stock, Agricium is still hard to come by for bulk traders, with the highest refresh rate only being 6 SCU per minute at Cantwell on Clio. With more options now for bulk trading, Agricium is best for small to medium haulers, or a commodity to mix with lower-end goods. Aluminum has been updated to a base price of $243, with a best sell price of $348 at New Babbage. With a small overall profit per SCU of 105 credits, this one is for up-and-coming traders in the largest of haulers. For example, a C2's buy-in price would be $170,000, with a profit of $73,000 a run. With various SMOs on Microtech, such as 13 and 18 having a ready supply of aluminum, this is a good way for traders with a large hauler to get started, as there's plenty of supply and most likely little interest. Perhaps the most improved commodity, Beryl now has an astounding base price of $2,216, with a best sell price of 2,815 at Orison. With a profit per SCU of 599 and available in bulk on ETA or Microtech, Beryl is now a high-risk, high-reward commodity that should stay readily available. For example, a C2 would have a buy-in of 1.5 million with a profit of 416,000. This puts it in a similar range of previous Laranite runs, and medium-sized haulers can still profit from such a widely available cargo. A Taurus hauling to Lorville will make around 90k a run. Keep in mind that Crusader deposits have the worst refresh rates, and therefore will have the worst availability and pricing. With things like gold, diamond, Laranite, and Agricium having unreliable stocks, this will most likely be the most trafficked high-end commodity. Corundum has a base price of 289, with a best sell price of 388 at Orison. Sadly, Corundum has a fairly low profit versus its buy-in. While much improved, there are alternatives that make similar or slightly more profits versus its buy-in, with Corundum's only advantage being its availability versus comparable commodities like Quartz. For such low profits, Corundum should be reserved for desperate bulk traders. For those interested in running Corundum, it is most available on Daymar and Calliope. Diamond is a much better buy now, with a base price of 3,697 and a best sell price of 4,453, which curiously can be found at Lorville, Orison, and New Babbage. While Diamond has an amazing profit of 756 credits per SCU, its refresh rate across the board is rather paltry, with Walla near ArtCorp having the highest refresh rate of a mere 15 SCU per minute. With low amounts, Diamond will be hard-pressed to keep up with bulk haulers' demands. Therefore, medium haulers would do well to pay attention to Diamond, and large haulers should mix in other loads and not count on being able to fill up. Gold is the new Laranite, for better and worse. With a buy price of 6,774 and a best sell price of 8,097 at Area 18, gold has a massive buy-in for massive profit for any hauler. Except, it virtually doesn't exist. As of 319, there are two suppliers of gold, which is Shuban SCD-1 on Daymar and SMO-18 on Microtech. To make matters worse, each has a refresh rate of 1 SCU per minute. With such a low refresh rate to be shared across a global economy, traders would do well to pretend gold does not exist, and most likely will have to settle for Beryl. Everyone's favorite, Laranite has a new base price around 2,171, with a best sell price of 3,114 at Lorville. While a full C2 of Laranite would earn around 600,000 in a C2, it maintains the same refresh rates as previous patches, which means you're going to be hard-pressed to fill up, and even harder-pressed to buy at base pricing. With Beryl being slightly less profitable but more readily available, Laranite should be reserved for medium haulers. Laranite can be found on Ariel or ArtCorp 045 and 056 on Walla, when it's in stock. With a new base price of 284 per SCU and a best sell price of 415 at Area 18, Quartz is an excellent commodity for bulk haulers not ready to take the plunge on higher-end commodities. For example, a C2 would have a buy-in of just under 200,000, with a profit of 91,000 at Area 18. A fairly low-risk run with easy access, Quartz is a nice stepping stone for better commodities, but should probably be avoided by smaller haulers. Quartz sees the highest supply at SMC A8 on Calliope and ArtCorp 141 on Daymar, with smaller supplies scattered around SAL5 on Lyria and ArtCorp Mining 045 on Walla. A staple of previous patches, titanium has a new base price of $345 and a best sell price of $516 at New Babbage. Keep in mind that Lorville and Area 18 have a sell price of $511, so price variances for titanium have a limited range. With that in mind, titanium makes similar profits as before, but with about half the buy-in price. This means titanium can continue to be hauled in bulk until traders are ready to graduate to Beryl. Titanium is most plentiful on Ariel, with SAL2 and SAL5 on Lyria having competitive supplies. With a base price of $322 and a best sell price of $430 at New Babbage, tungsten is a slightly more disappointing version of titanium. Not a bad commodity for bulk hauling, but better alternatives do exist. Consider using tungsten to pad empty cargo holds when your preferred commodity is out of stock. While it can be found all over Stanton, Ariel sees the highest supply. While not an exhaustive explanation on the nuances of every commodity, this updated list should guide you in the right direction or provide context for how worthwhile a commodity is. Keep in mind that trading trends can change, and numbers can be amended on the back end by CIG. That said, I hope this video has benefited you and will help you out in the trade lanes. Until next time, keep on trucking.